Stop it. Stop it. All right. And let me get back to you. I appreciate you trying to join anyway. You know what I mean? It's valuable. I know you had some plans today, but I appreciate that. So, family, hold on. I'm gonna need my keyboard in a minute, so I'm just gonna put that to the side. Can you? Oh God. Holla if you hear me. So there were periods in my time where I was a huge fan of wrestling, and I remember one of these periods wound up being in college, and that's when they had what's dude name Big Papa Pump, and when the show comes on, I always try to make sure the sound is working and all of that, and the first thing that popped in my mind was Big Papa Pumps got you hook up. Holler if you hear me. Cause the way he used to trip me out. He said that soul country. Big Papa Pumps got you hook up. Holler if you hear me. So anyway, side story. So glad to be here with you. Hope you've been having a fantastic week. If you are new here, this is Soul Swami Live, where we discuss all things healing in various forms through lessons, through live energy readings, through conversations, even through our spin-off show that is Thursday nights, which is our book club, which allows us to reconnect with the child in us, right? So, when and where we meet every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So, if you want to join us, if not, you can watch the replay. At this point, you can see us on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, and Instagram. But later in this show, we're going to talk about that a little bit. So some of that might change as soon as Thursday, right? So we're going to make some adjustments. I appreciate you. So, generally, at the beginning of every show, we do an intro. And our intro is some sort of chakra cleansing. Last week, we were on our root chakra. This week, we start over on our crown chakra. Your crown chakra is, for the most part, your crown energy point, however you like to call it, is known for your consciousness, your spiritual connection, whatever that means to you, and your sacred knowledge. Sacred knowledge is essentially sometimes that answer, that knowledge that you just don't kind of know where it comes from, but you just instinctively know it to be true. So that's what your crown is good for. If you're into light therapy and things of that nature, you want to think of violet, purple, things like that. The color for your crown is violet and purple. Hence, the purple hue to the lighting right now just to match the crown. If you are into stones, some stones that are good for your crown are amethyst, which I have right here. Amethyst, that's my baby. I got it in all different types of colors. Black, as you can tell. Well, it's hard to tell here. It looks purple, but it's really a brownish color. But amethyst is good. Moonstone is good. Selenite is good. If you've been here a couple of weeks ago, you seen me show. I was so excited after I went to the gym show and bought me a selenite knife. It's a good cleansing stone, and I plan on using it for cord cutting ceremonies. Whenever people feel like there are cords or connections to events, past, and emotions that they are struggling to let go, I'll help them do that by creating a visualization, a visual thing of actually cutting the cords, right? And clear quartz is also good for your crown. If you're into scents, you want to think frankincense and myrrh. I tell this story all the time. That's where old buddy, half baked, he worked for frankincense and myrrh. But frankincense and myrrh are also great incense, good smells for your crown. Lavender, sandalwood, and rosewood, woodsy, earthy tones, ironically, are very good for your crown. So the next thing that we do, we generally play our bowl for some sound healing, and then we do a breathalyzation. We do a breath exercise. I think we're gonna do 4-4-4 again today, and then we do a visualization. The visualization today is gonna kind of set us up for today's show. So at this point in the show, all you have to do is just relax, listen to the sounds, try to clear your mind, focus on being calm and being your authentic, balanced self. All right. My spirit wants to play the ukulele, but I think we will wrap the show up with my ukulele song. So for the visual, for the breath, we are going to do the 4-4-4 breathing exercise. So again, just relax yourself and really focus in on your breathing and the awareness of your thoughts and clearing your thoughts. I will do the count. So all you have to do is just listen to my voice and allow it to guide you through this breathing exercise. For the 4-4-4 breathing exercise, you breathe in for a count of 4. You hold your breath for a count of 4. And then you breathe out for a count of 4. We're going to repeat that 3 times. But again, all you have to do is just relax and listen to the sound of my voice. On the count of 3, family, I want you to breathe in for a 4 count. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 4, 2, 3, 4. Release 4, 2, 3, 4. All right. Again, family, breathe in 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 4, 2, 3, 4. Release 4, 2, 3, 4. Last time, family. Deep breaths. Breathe in 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 4, 2, 3, 4. Release 4, 2, 3, 4. So the element for your crown is thought. So for our visualization, we will take a little time to be conscious of our thoughts and intentional with our thoughts. As you are there, I want you to think about those thoughts of truth you've had. Those moments where you second guessed yourself, and even though you knew the truth. I want you to think of those moments and reassure yourself of your connection to that sacred knowledge that delivers the truth to you on a spiritual level. I want you to remind yourself that you do know the truth. When you hear it, when you see it, when you feel it, when it enters your life, you know the truth. And as you are reassuring yourself of how well you know the truth, I also want you to think of what does embodiment mean to me? What is embody? How do I embody? What does it look like in action? What does embody look like in thought? I want you to take the time and create a connection and relationship with that word embody. And as you are thinking about what it means to you, shaping the boundaries and the energy of what embody means to you, and reminding yourself of the truths you know, I want you to repeat these affirmations after me. I am divine. I am connected to the universe. I am at peace. I am a spiritual being. I release doubt and welcome faith. I am divine. I am connected to the universe. I am at peace. I am a spiritual being. I release doubt and welcome faith. All right, family. Let's get started with tonight's show. Boop, boop, boop. Here we go. What we got going on? All right, family. Let's see. What is this? What I can't. Hey, man. I should have been getting channel points. Listen, you need to go to Twitch and watch so you can get some channel points, because the channel points will come in handy if you ever want to play games. You get points. Right now, Miss here got the points. Liberty, you got a little bit of points. I appreciate the compliment too. I've actually worn this shirt on the show before, but it's been so long, I almost forget. So you probably have to go too. That's the bad thing about some of my clothes is some of them can be so unique that whenever I wear it, it seems like I wore it yesterday. I probably haven't worn this shirt on this show in over a year. So, well, thank you. I like the shirt. It kind of spoke to me. I was gonna wear something different. You see, it doesn't match the color tone, but I don't know. We've been practicing the ability to work on trusting our spirit, so we've been doing that, right? So, thank you. All right. So first, we're gonna start with a couple conversations. Tonight's gonna be some conversations, and then we're going to get into our topic of this quantum shift, right? And I mentioned it on the last couple of shows. Well, I definitely mentioned it last week because it's fairly a new tool, perspective, a new way of viewing things. It's a fairly new concept. That's the word I was looking for. It's a fairly new concept to me myself, as far as in this healing. I majored in biology, so I took a lot of science classes, took physics, took chemistry, took all that weird stuff. So I do understand a little bit about quantum energy. I just never really applied it to our life until the brothers in the men's group put me on, which I'm very thankful for. I don't know. I keep hearing a ton of beeps, so something's going on. I just don't know what. All right, so ultimately, I actually been thinking about the show, right? And an idea or a thought process that it kind of has, a thought that's kind of been tapping into me, just kind of been on my back lately is streaming down all the different websites, all the different social media platforms that we actively stream to. Not removing our presence, but when we do our show, right? As we do our show on all these channels. What really made me kind of start thinking about this, is TikTok, right? If you are new here, or if you're not, our relationship with TikTok has been very interesting, right? So I'll get banned from live streaming on TikTok for no reason. First time it really started happening, I had to have Streamlabs reach out and help, right? We getting there. Definitely so, right? Because I also talk about my return on investments. So I appreciate you switching to what's his name? And this gonna be you gonna prove one of my points while also thinking about slimming it down to where we are, where you can actively see us. So these are some of the things that you did. I'm sharing some of this so you can understand some of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes and some of the thought process that it takes to actually try to build something, right? So TikTok be banning me all the time. First time we had Streamlabs help, and then the second time it happened, Streamlabs was like, "Hey, we ain't got nothing to do with that. You on your own." So I reached out to them, and they were giving me, they was just giving me a hard. I listen sometime. Listen, I wish I don't know what Toddy is. She probably sitting somewhere being creepy on Facebook and not chatting, but she need to be on TikTok too. Not on TikTok too. She needs to be on, Twitch too. But she swears she can't find us on Twitch. So, but I say that so y'all can together say I listen sometimes. But anyway, so they gave me some slack, and then as you see, they let us on TikTok again for one day. And then that next day, they revoked my access to go live again. And they said because my content doesn't fit what they're looking for, right? And that really got me thinking. If what we're doing here, working on healing and growing and things like that, doesn't necessarily fit TikTok, what is their profile, right? And I didn't really think too deep about that because I can get old hotepy and I can go down, start spiraling, and it could be conspiracy theories and all this stuff without data. So I really work with data and thinking about the data, whether it's actual data She ain't seen me. She probably last time she probably seen me, I had locks. So who knows? She be like, I don't know who that man is. Hey, she as bad as your daughter. Your daughters, they don't know who I am neither, but little do they know. I've been in y'all life for 20 years. Real talk. True story. Close enough. Right? Oh God, excuse me. So really I started thinking about really a return on investment for the social media sites that we actually stream on. Like, are we actually getting close enough? I know that's right. That is close enough. Are we actually getting our return on what our investment is, right? So I really have to think about TikTok. What is TikTok really about? Even in, not to say that there aren't people on TikTok that are doing what we're doing, but we are, right? But even in that context, TikTok is really fast nature. Pop, pop, pop. You know what I mean? Even if you're talking about something, what's the name? It really is, like you said, Liberty, it really is better for clips, right? So when I go live on TikTok, I don't get followers or a lot of likes. I get the likes from the people who watch us on TikTok, right? But outside of that, I don't get a lot of new people that I don't know from the live shows on TikTok. We get those from the clips. I get my views on TikTok and stuff like that from clips, not the shows, right? So then that makes me ask, if TikTok keep banning me and I don't really get my support, my follows from the live shows, do I really need to keep doing live shows on TikTok? Is that a platform that we should continue streaming on if the return on investment is not really giving us anything? Then we think about Instagram. Instagram's a mess. It never works right. I know it doesn't. People always have problem with it. I just let it go because it's always a problem, right? And I very rarely get any people I don't know to join on Instagram. I only get people that already know me to join on Instagram, but I don't get connected to a lot of our people, our tribe through Instagram. I don't get a lot of likes from clips. I don't get a lot of support that you would think for the amount of effort that we put on Instagram, right? Then we got Facebook. What I'm learning is what the kids say about Facebook is true. Facebook is for the old haters. On Facebook, you're more likely to get people to watch you and never, ever participate, right? Unless you're into something different than what we into. We'll say that, right? So, but for us, on our live, when we're live on Facebook, I know I get views. I know I get what's the name. And Facebook is mostly friends and family, which makes it even more ironic. I know I get views. I can see the views. But I don't get a lot of likes from the friends and families and the people that you think would support you the most, right? So the question is, if I'm not getting a lot of interaction from Facebook, should I continue to go live on Facebook? Right? And then we got YouTube. I noticed about YouTube, which is very interesting and very unique, is I got a little bit of followers on YouTube. I looked today, 23 YouTube followers. But as I look at my views and things like that, my views have gone up. Whenever I put energy towards YouTube, I get a return. Views go up, interaction goes up, things like that. And I also started noticing too that there are people on YouTube who are watching my videos that I don't know, and they are consistently watching my videos because I'm aware of who are in the family who watches me on YouTube because they tell me. So I know that number, but the numbers of views don't match the number of people that I know that watch. And I know my family, I know the Soul family is not necessarily repeat watching, right? And then we got Twitch. Twitch has probably been given me the largest return on investment. Because literally, when I started Twitch, I had 0 followers. And of my Twitch followers, only 2 of them are people that I know in real life. Twitch has given me the opportunity to connect with a lot of different people. And then when random people come and ask questions and join in, they're usually somebody from Twitch. The Twitch people start talking immediately. When they on there, they say something. They ask questions. They interact immediately. They don't just watch. Right? So then when I think about it, maybe we're spreading. We talk about spreading our energy ain't infinite. So maybe we're spreading our energy too thin by trying to stream everywhere. And then we should focus on specific sites that are actually feeding into us, pouring back into us, showing us the signs that we are on the right path. And then when I look at larger streamers or larger people who are doing this, they're not streaming actively live shows on every single social media thing. They're on 1, max 2, and the rest are clips of their show directing you to where they do most of the shows. And I really do think that for us as we grow, I think we really want to be able to see the interaction. Like, so for example, something that I love, the only 2 sites that really give me no issues at all about streaming, it works the way it's supposed to, everything goes how it's supposed to, is YouTube and Twitch. For example, the comments that people say actually show on YouTube and Twitch, and that matters because a lot of people need to see that other people are interacting. If you're on TikTok, it looks like I'm talking to myself. If you're on Facebook, it looks like I'm talking to myself. But if you are on YouTube or Twitch, you can tell. That's cool. You can tell that I'm sorry. You don't went to that I'm actually talking to somebody. So I appreciate you, Liberty. That's all on the screen too. See, I know you gotta like your comments showing up on the screen. But I appreciate you for trying to stop through. I knew it was gonna be a little hard. Definitely go back and catch at least the second half so you can see some of the video, because I think some good conversation will come out of that video. And this idea of quantum shift really connects to what we're trying to do. And this in the idea where I had the visualization about embodiment, and our relationship with this idea of embodiment. So I value, I appreciate you. Thanks as always. Enjoy your bestie. And tell her I'm hurt that she don't remember me, but I remember her. That's all right. Okay, so we might be taking some time to stream down how we stream, and it also will require me to do more clips, which is I'm okay with. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure that we are in the appropriate space to find our people, and if we're looking at the data, the places where it seems like our people are finding us the most is through YouTube and Twitch. We have the least resistance. They work with us. We don't get banned. YouTube still got every video I ever posted. Twitch always had to delete, but they just support. They just really support a little differently. I have problems with every other site except them, right? Something else that I wanted to discuss before we get into this quantum thing is this idea of fear. I've been saying over the last couple of weeks, the opportunity has been around for me to be able to assess how all the random ways that fear shows up in my life. And it happened earlier this week. I was on the phone with one of the Soul family, and I got a call from my supervisor. And as soon as I seen her name on the phone, I was like, oh man, I know it's about to be some mess. My anxiety through the roof. I'm anxious. I just know it's gonna be some drama. I don't know what it is. And when I answer the phone, it is very simple. Something that I had no reason to even be afraid of. But then that also showed me how it still is going to take a little bit of time for us to get through this healing process. Some of these old feelings are very much still connected to our present reality. And in those moments, we have to recognize that, take that opportunity and recognize that and try to move forward, right? And in saying that they try to move forward, I hung out with my college friend, my college roommate over the weekend. And while over there, we had a couple other friends show up that we know from various walks of life, right? And we were talking about something. And my homeboy, Mike Lowry, he said something so prolific that works so fantastic in how we navigate our relationship with fear and navigate all the ways it randomly shows up, right? We were having a conversation and my friend says, man, I don't know if I can do that, man. I don't know, that'd be kind of scary. I know what we're talking about. My homeboy met some random people and took all his guns to the wood to go shooting with these random people. And it came out perfectly. It worked how it was supposed to be. And another little context of this context, of course, my friend is black, but these random people were all white. He's the only black person. And in black trauma, I bet me telling you, my homeboy, my black friend, going to the woods to shoot with all his guns with a group of strange white people that he doesn't know, automatically raises some anxiety. But anyway, as that's going on, my college roommate is like, you're like, man, I don't know if I can do that. I'd be scared. And my friend says something so prolific. He says, well, fear is all right. You just got to make sure that fear is behind you and not in front of you. So even when we think about all the ways that fear will show up, it'll show up again. We can take that moment to also rejoice in that moment, rejoice in how those fears are behind us and no longer in front of us. So for example, when I got nervous about my supervisor calling, I don't have to be nervous. She don't really call me with drama and issues and problems. That's from past. So those fears show up occasionally and it's all right. But I don't have to worry about them being my future, right? Okay, so I said I was going to Google the definition because we're going to get on this quantum shift. I'm about to say quantum physics, but it ain't. It is quantum physics, but we're talking about quantum shift. Quantum shift is a part of quantum physics. So give me a second. I'm going to look it up, the definition, so we make sure we're working on the same definition of quantum shifting. Quantum shifts broadly refer to sudden transformative changes, often described as leaps or shifts in energy, consciousness, or reality with roots in quantum mechanics and broader philosophical and psychological contexts. These shifts can be conceptualized as either literal changes in state of matter at a quantum level or as metaphysical changes in belief systems, perceptions, or even personal realities. Long story short, quantum shifting is essentially the sudden transformative changes, often described as leaps or shifts in energy, consciousness, or reality. So that's where we're starting from, right? And I thought that was very interesting concept, period, because that's essentially what we're trying to do. When we're trying to bring all versions of ourselves into the present reality, where we can heal them or talk to them or use the mind if necessary. We're thinking about how we no longer want to function in a space of survival, but now we want to function in a space of thriving, right? All of those are shifts in energy, shifts in reality, shifts in those things. And quantum, and we're doing it from this aspect because quantum mechanics has laws. It's based on science. So we're removing the mysticism from what we're doing and grounding our thoughts and process in spirit and sound scientific belief, right? So we're going to watch this video because, like I said, as this is a new concept to me, I think a lot of times I don't always want to present myself as the expert. This is a space for us to be able to also learn together. So some of these things we're going to learn together, and I appreciate the brother showing me love, and I appreciate the brothers in the men's group and introducing, providing a space for us to learn and share new ideas, and giving us tools that we can go outside of that group and share with each other. Where are we at? Let me make sure I'm on the right page. Okay, I am. What we're gonna do? Is it energy recording? Whoa, something's too big. What is that? Chat box. Excuse me, family. You see that? We can't even see. No, we're gonna get off all that. Video. No, okay, yeah, video capture. We're gonna switch this. And that's gonna be right. So we're gonna watch this quick video. Well, the video ain't quick. It's several episodes. We're not going to watch the whole hour of this video on tonight's show, but we will watch at least maybe the first episode, which is about 7 minutes. So maybe the second episode, because it kind of spins in, so that we can open space for discussion. What else I need to do? Is that it? C. All right. Make sure we working how we need to, family. What? Did it close? Nah, that's bananas. All right, that's what we was trying to do. All right.
You've been told to visualize, to set intentions, to speak your desires into the universe and wait. They told you that if you want it badly enough, it will come. But here you are, still waiting, still frustrated, still wondering why nothing seems to shift, even though you've done everything the books, gurus, and influencers told you to do. You chant affirmations. You build vision boards. You repeat your mantras, yet your life continues on the same loop, delivering the same results year after year. The truth? You've been trying to manifest from the wrong place. You've been chasing outcomes without ever shifting the one thing that matters, your state of being. Because the quantum field doesn't care how much you want something. It responds to who you are. And until you understand this, you'll keep spinning in circles, trapped inside the same timeline, endlessly waiting for change that never arrives. Most people believe reality is fixed, like a single straight line moving forward through time. You're born, you grow, you work, you age, you die. Cause and effect march forward in a predictable rhythm. But this is only the illusion we've been taught to see. Quantum physics dismantles this entire narrative. Reality is not linear. It's not singular. It's not even stable. Right now, surrounding you, vibrating all around you, are infinite versions of your life, existing simultaneously in a field of pure potential. Every possibility you've ever imagined already exists. Every version of you who succeeded, who failed, who healed, who suffered, who lived a completely different life. They are all there, vibrating in the quantum field like waves waiting to be observed. What you call your life is merely one collapsed version among infinite possibilities. This isn't science fiction. This is the nature of reality at its most fundamental level. In the quantum world, everything exists as pure potential until it is observed. A particle exists in multiple states simultaneously until measured. Only then does it collapse into a single state we call reality. But here's the part they never explain to you. You are the observer. Your consciousness is constantly collapsing possibilities into form. Every moment of your life is the result of this constant collapse. And yet, despite infinite options, most people remain locked into one small, familiar timeline, living out repetitive patterns and calling it fate. Why? Because the act of collapsing potential into reality is not random. It's not controlled by your conscious wishes or desires. It's governed by something far more subtle and far more powerful, your dominant vibration. This is the part they don't teach in manifestation seminars. The field doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you are being at every level of your system, your emotions, your beliefs, your nervous system, your expectations, your identity. And that is why most people fail to shift timelines, no matter how hard they try. Their conscious mind screams, "I want change," but their entire being continues to radiate the frequency of their old life. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself you want abundance, but underneath, your body contracts in anxiety every time a bill arrives? How many times have you visualized love, but secretly feared vulnerability and rejection? How many times have you declared confidence, while your nervous system trembled with self-doubt? These contradictions are not just feelings. They are powerful signals broadcasted into the field. And the field always reflects your dominant signal, not your loudest thoughts, but your deepest embodied state. You've been taught to believe that desire creates reality, that if you want something badly enough, the universe will deliver. But desire without alignment is powerless. In fact, desperate desire often reinforces the very absence of what you seek. When you desire from a place of lack, you amplify lack. When you visualize while subconsciously expecting failure, you amplify failure. The quantum field listens to your whole being, not your affirmations. Most people are collapsing the same version of reality over and over again because they are unknowingly broadcasting the same familiar frequency every single day. Their nervous system clings to the safety of the known. Their subconscious loops through old patterns. Their emotional body recycles the same fears, doubts, and insecurities. And so, despite all the conscious effort, the dominant vibration remains unchanged. The field simply mirrors it back. This is why you feel stuck. Not because you're lazy, not because you're not trying hard enough, but because you're unknowingly tuned to the same channel, collapsing the same version of yourself repeatedly. The version of you who already lives your desired life is not in some distant future, waiting to be created. It exists right now, vibrating at a specific frequency in the quantum field. Your job is not to create that version. Your job is to align with it. And this is where the real work begins. Because shifting timelines requires more than positive thinking. It demands a shift at the level of your entire being. Your body, your emotions, your identity must align with the frequency of the timeline you want to enter. And the moment you embody that frequency fully, the quantum field has no choice but to mirror it back. Some of what I'm about to share next goes beyond what platforms like YouTube allow me to openly discuss. That's why I've created Insights Academy, a free news. Till you master it, no external change will ever be enough. The most dangerous part of staying stuck isn't that you consciously choose it. The danger is that you don't even see it happening. You wake up every day, carry out your routine, make decisions, and tell yourself that you want change. But beneath the surface, a far more powerful force is at work. Your nervous system's addiction to the familiar. What feels safe isn't always what feels good. In fact, most of the time, your system confuses familiarity with safety, and so you remain locked inside the old timeline. Not because you lack ambition, but because your system fears the unknown more than it craves transformation. Resistance doesn't always show up as loud defiance. It often wears the mask of logic, caution, or even productivity. You tell yourself that you need to plan more before making that leap, or that the timing isn't right. You dive into endless research, convincing yourself that more information will eventually make you ready. But readiness never arrives, because it's not your conscious mind delaying you, it's your subconscious desperately clinging to what it knows. Even when you long for change, your body responds to the unknown as a threat, triggering subtle patterns of self-protection that keep you circling the same familiar outcomes. This is the trap of the old timeline. You think you're moving forward because you're busy. You think you're evolving because you're learning. But activity isn't alignment. Information isn't embodiment. Most people are stuck in a cycle of intellectual consumption, mistaking knowledge for transformation. They read books, attend seminars, watch videos, collect techniques, and yet nothing changes, because all of it remains at the level of the mind. The body stays wired for survival. The nervous system continues to signal danger whenever you approach the edge of your comfort zone. Procrastination is resistance. Overthinking is resistance. Perfectionism is resistance. Emotional numbness is resistance. Hyperproductivity that keeps you too busy to face your real fears is resistance. These are not character flaws. They are survival strategies. Your system has learned that staying in the familiar, even if it's painful, is safer than stepping into the unknown. Because the unknown triggers the primal parts of your brain that are wired to detect threat and avoid risk at all costs. And so you stay in the loop, spinning in familiar frustration, wondering why life keeps repeating itself. The old timeline doesn't need your permission to continue. It simply needs your participation. Every time you tell the same story, react the same way, expect the same disappointment, or retreat into familiar emotional patterns, you are feeding the old timeline. The neural pathways in your brain become deeper grooves, automatic circuits that require no conscious thought. What once was a choice becomes an unconscious habit. And before you realize it, you are no longer choosing your reality, it's choosing you. This is where quantum physics and neuroscience intersect in a way that most people overlook. The observer effect in quantum mechanics tells us that observation collapses waves of infinite potential into form. But observation isn't limited to your eyes. You observe reality with your expectations, your beliefs, your emotional states, and 95% of that observation is happening at the subconscious level. That's why you can set intentions all day long, yet continue to experience the same outcomes, because your subconscious is still collapsing the same familiar reality. You are not failing because you don't want change badly enough. You are failing because your system is wired to survive, not to thrive. The subconscious mind prioritizes safety over progress, and safety, to the subconscious, means familiarity. That's why people can remain stuck in toxic relationships, unfulfilling jobs, or self-sabotaging habits for years. The pain of the known feels safer than the uncertainty of something new. Even your emotional patterns become addictive. Anxiety, scarcity, unworthiness. These emotional loops generate biochemical reactions in the body that become familiar signals. Over time, your nervous system becomes chemically addicted to these states, creating a physiological resistance to the very change you desire. So while your conscious mind declares abundance, your body braces for lack. While you visualize love, your system remains armored against vulnerability. And the field responds to your dominant state, not your conscious intentions. The trap is so subtle that most people never recognize it. They keep chasing external solutions, thinking that if they just change their environment, their job, their partner, or their financial situation, the inner shift will finally happen. But it never does, because the shift doesn't start outside. It starts inside. It starts by rewiring the observer, by changing the internal frequency that collapses the wave of reality itself. The version of you that lives in the new timeline is not waiting for external circumstances to shift. That version already exists. Job, their partner, or their financial situation. The inner shift will finally happen. But it never does, because the shift doesn't start outside. It starts inside. It starts by rewiring the observer, by changing.
All right, family, I think that's a good spot to stop and have a little conversation for a second and take these headphones off. I wanted to be able to stretch. All right. I want to make sure that I could hear what you were hearing. I hope you got some jewels from that video. What's going on? We'll go back to the side cam. Yeah, I hope you got some juice from that video. There was several things in there that I wrote down some notes. Something that we can elicit a little conversation. I think one of the things we want to talk about is this idea that he kept on saying about responds to who you are and not what you say. And it's funny, like as he was listening to that video, I promise you, when I was watching earlier, the only thing not the only thing, but one thing that just kept popping in my mind is this same idea of how closely this idea of quantum shifting fits to this idea of faith without works is dead, right? Or becoming the body of Christ, or anything like that. Like, when people talk about faith, you be like, nah, you can't. You got to believe it down deep in your soul. That's all these tie into that idea of embodiment. So I think that's one of the reasons why we really have to start thinking about our relationship with that idea of embodiment. What does it look like? What versions of ourselves keep us from being able to embody who we'd like to? And I do like how he talked about the energy of vibration, right? I think week before that, a couple of weeks ago, we had that conversation where I realized that we've been focusing so much, as he talked about, how life is linear. We've been focusing so much even on our healing. We've had our healing to be linear in the sense that we've thought about our past, our present, and our future. And in that, we wound up learning how there are so many more versions of ourselves that exist, even in the past, the present, and the future. But even when we just think about the present alone, if we're just trying to be more present, what does that necessarily mean when there are so many versions of ourselves that exist? So, like you said, it's about vibrating in alignment with this. So there's a sad self that exists. We even talked about there's a happy person that inside of you that exists. Or it even connects to the idea where we had that, where if you really want to know the questions, there is a place and time that exists where you don't have these problems. Your future self, we've always put it in the dynamics of future self, but now we're looking left and right because that self might be walking parallel with us right now, same space, just not having the same issues. We talked about how you can ask your future self, hey man, how did I get here? This idea of quantum shifting removes even having to ask your future self. All you really got to do is just left and right, become aware, bring into consciousness some of those unconscious behaviors, right? So I think something that was interesting, like we said, the unconscious behaviors that connected so much to that idea of your body and your nervous system is still structured for survival. One part that kind of hit me, because we talk about abundance all the time, right? And we hope, we even on this show, we hope, we have affirmations, we do all types of things to try to align us with abundance. But it was very interesting when he talked about how you hope for abundance and then get anxiety and nervous when a bill shows up, right? It's like that is not a spirit of abundance. That's a perfect way for them to be able to show you how you still unconsciously connect. That version of yourself that lives in fear of not having enough still exists. You don't spin with the understanding that you will always be provided for. And part of the reason why we still function in these things is because we've done it so long, which ties into the another main point is that subconscious functions in what's familiar. And the pain of the familiar feels safer to us than the uncertainty of the unknown. That was cold right there. Because we even say it as sayings to guide our lives. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. You know what I mean? We preach a language of fear to ourselves and align that. Where when we are up against uncertainty or when things are unknown, it creates fear and anxiety for us. I did a energy reading today, and that same dynamic came up too. The familiarity of the unknown. I mean, the familiarity and the pain of the struggle and all that is together, and the fear of the unknown can be very crippling. So people would rather stay in the space, no matter how painful it is. They feel like they have the tools to navigate that, or they understand the pain. I've even said that in dating. I think as we talk about dating a lot of times, we do so much preaching on the negative aspects of dating is that all we are doing is giving people the tools to navigate negative dating. And on a subconscious level, an unconscious level, we will go out into these worlds and recreate these dynamics because they are familiar to us. And because we have not brought those things into awareness, we are more likely to blame the other person for a very familiar, a very similar outcome. Not that we are functioning on a way that has our body still strapped and attached to survival and not necessarily this idea of thriving, which is amazing. I keep looking because I keep hearing this beat, but I don't ever see no action, so I don't know what's going on with the beat. Hey, Lucky, I'll say that. How you doing? I hope things have been fantastic. I see the babies are getting big. I hope life is treating you well, girl. For real, for real. No lie. I see you not too long ago. Not seeing you in real life, but I seen you had a little conflict with I can't even remember her name, but I remember what was that girl? Harrington, or whatever. And of course, I'm not finna put your business in the street and say what the conflict was or anything like that. But I do want to say, I kind of always found her a little interesting in the sense that when you were in your darkest moment, she was one of those people that definitely turned their back, right? And not just that, because sometimes us being in our darkest moments can be triggering for other people, and they necessarily can't be there to support us in ways that we like. So that wasn't the part that really caused me issue. The part that kind of really caused me issue is the judgment. Um, Dead serious. At times, she presents herself as though her sins are better than yours. But like I know, no sin is better than the other. When it comes to energy and going against what's right for ourselves, there's no greater. And I say all this to say is I definitely understand your point of view and where you were coming from. And I hate that this is how you find out that y'all friendship ain't really aligned. Y'all energies aren't really aligned. You know what I mean? That's that idea where I talked about opposites attract. They always talk about opposites attract. But the other half of that saying that they don't tell you, it takes a cataclysmic event to separate them. Opposites attract, but likes stay together. You do not see a negative sitting in the middle of a positive. Positive will not have that. So when opposites attract, the only thing left for them to do is to separate. Because opposites attract, likes belong together. And unfortunately, when it's time for those opposites to separate, it always takes a cataclysmic event, a wild event. It always takes something huge. And a lot of times it can be traumatizing, but it's always life-changing. And it gives us a perspective to understand that we probably need to vibrate more with people who are in our space, right? Again, sis, I appreciate you. I'm glad you stopped through for a little bit. Family, know I love you. We've been through, I'm at this point, when I meet you, 2013? No, 2010, 2011, something like that. At this point, girl, I've known you 15 years. So, is that right? I ain't good at math. But again, thank you, family. I appreciate you. And I value you. And more than that, I definitely love you. You dig? Yeah, I know that was kind of a side conversation for everybody, but it's all good. Do 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 do. Two things I think I want to wrap tonight's show up with what ideas that he talked about. One is a question I wrote down is why are we failing? In the sense that why, and it's a question that we want to ask ourselves and actually think about. Why aren't we achieving our dreams? Why do we say we want abundance And when a bill comes, it creates anxiety. We quickly shift back into that survival mode and that fear. And you always worrying if you're going to have enough. You're looking at your bank account and you worrying if you're going to have enough, right? And this isn't talking about spending with no regards. This is actually a person, or thinking of yourself as a person that spends in the right way. But you just grew up poor, so survival techniques are ingrained in you. And I say that again to really start thinking about what other ways are we failing ourselves, and how is that a failure attached to our unconscious thoughts and beliefs, the versions of ourselves that do not align with who we want to, the versions of ourselves that talk to us and tell us that we shouldn't do that, or we can't do that, or that's too risky. The versions of ourselves that tell us uncertainty is way more dangerous than the pain of familiarity, right? So really take some time and think about that one, family. And then the next one, I really enjoy this idea that we are reminded that the possibilities are endless. All energy is potential until we make it kinetic. That's alignment with the Bible, whether you're religious, scientific, or whatever. We understand that the possibilities are endless. A new idea come up tomorrow, there's a new possibility. And it's amazing how when we settle on one idea, essentially what we've done is collapse all those possibilities into one. And by collapsing all those possibilities into one, we no longer see all the opportunities that we have. And we really want to take some time to take a step back and start expanding the possibilities. Leave room for the possibility that things may not be the way you have chosen to see them. And what other possibilities are right beside you that you can't see because you collapsed them all into one, right? I love that. I love that. And then I love that idea of matter doesn't exist until it's been observed. And I thought that was so unique that I said, even thinking about a kid or thinking about some of the things that you know now, you didn't even know they existed until it happened to you. Well, I didn't even know that happened. Like, think about all the kids that don't even know they poor until they're faced with this realization and they're in a rich environment, whatever that means, right? Family, it's been a great one. I think again we're gonna do a little bit more on. Oh no, never mind. I do want to talk about this trap of the old time. No, never mind. We'll wait. We forget it. Another concept that was dope is the trap of the old timeline, and how they attach that to addiction. Our nervous system is addicted to the familiar and has the tendency to confuse the familiar with safety. That was wild. Think about all the times that we stay in positions or relationships or locations because they are familiar. They are providing for us. They are doing something with us. And we confuse that with safety. The illusion of safety. The illusion of that job is paying your bills, not the effort and work that you put in, right? Not that you're doing it, just your connection to that. I think that is wild. And if we look at our healing in the context of our nervous system is addicted to some of those survival techniques, we start paying attention to some of our responses that show our addiction to that. I remember I've been in a situation, and you may have before too, where you're actually questioning your reality in the sense that you're interacting with someone and you're like, are you trying to make this like every other situation that you've had in the past? If you ever ask yourself that question pops in your mind because that energy is showing you, yes, that is happening. That is why we trust that sacred knowledge that comes to us. I think that was a fantastic aspect to be able to look at it and gives us a new tool because we don't want to be addicted to our own pain just because it's familiar. We don't want to be addicted to our own pain just because it gives us the illusion of safety. We don't want to be addicted to our own demise because we are so fearful of what we don't know, right? I think that's crazy. Amazing how our body can perceive the unknown as a threat, right? And even though sometimes that unknown is our blessing, our blessings will be unknown too. How many times have you mistaken a blessing for a threat and missed opportunity because it was uncertain and the outcome would be unknown? So you figured there's no way that that could be safe, right? Something else I want to talk about is this idea of the future. That kind of ties into this in the sense that I watched this video the other day in men's group too. They showed us this video where this dude was talking about a definition of future. And essentially, future begins right at that moment where you speak it or write it down, right? And the funny thing about that, because as it ties into this quantum physics, you start thinking about how many times do you change your future? So, like the idea of abundance that was used in the video, we'll sit out here and say we want abundance. And that will become our future. We'll start working and aligning towards that. And then that bill shows up and we get nervous again. As soon as we speak that nervousness, that energy of lack, that concern, as I said, because a lot of times it's God, that addiction is God's, that's knowledge. As soon as we speak that, we've essentially changed our future again back to the outcomes that we don't want. So we keep stuck in that cycle of lack. All right. Okay, so family, now we're going to wrap it up for show. Next week, I think we want to start where I was trying to stop the video, to rewire the observer. Really take some time and think about your relationship with this idea of embodiment. What that means to you, how that looks, how it connects to your spiritual growth and the outcomes that you want in your life, right? I hope to see you Thursday for Thursday Night Book Club, where we will continue reading Makes Me Want to Holler. If you can't make it Thursday, I hope to see you here with us again next Tuesday as we'll continue our discussion on this quantum shift and begin watching the part where let's talk about rewiring the observer, right? So I wish you blessings and plenty of gratitude as you go upon the rest of your evening and your day tomorrow. And from my soul to yours, I wish you love, family. Peace.